Ntate Kunene,
And that.
the people shall share the country's wealth. Is it happening? Jwalo ka ANC ya etsahala ntho ona e re buang ka yona hona jwale.
And that there is a halam. How about freedom charter over the first sentence after the people shall share in the country's wealth? It says the national wealth of the country, the heritage of South Africans shall be restored to the people. The mineral wealth beneath the soil shall be transferred to the ownership of the people as a whole. Ka 2002, South African government, ANC, passed a law minerals act, mining act, to summarize it. Oil transfer ownership of the minerals to the people of South Africa. So the freedom charter in that context was done. Because that act, what it does, in 2 years, first, companies need to pay tax fail. But on usually, they pay in terms of royalty tax. Because I carry muru katlasana kwa to South Africa. So the mining company is not right here or miner, but then they pay royalty tax. Just to indicate, in the last 2 financial years, tax from royalty tax has helped to recover gaps in terms of collection tax. For example, just to be specific, according to SARS, 89 billion, 21-22, was collected by SARS from mining companies. A further contribution here, 28.4 billion, was collected from mining houses in terms of royalty tax, which is a result of the Mining Act 2002, which is a result of the Freedom Charter saying the mineral wealth beneath the soil shall belong to the people. So we have implemented the Freedom Charter by making sure that muruo wa batho wa South Africa belong to the people. But we have gone further. We have adopted a number of master plans as a government, ANC. One of the master plans which is important for Batuba Valley, the Steel Master Plan. 2015, government noticing that Muruo in terms of the steel, including our own ArcelorMittal at Demo Valley, ISCOR, it's a profit. They instituted the tariffs. But after instituting tariffs, they went further in consultation with all the key stakeholders, but developed the Steel Master Plan, which was meant to ensure that it reduces the collapse of the steel industry. As you would know now, ISCO for the past 2 financial years has been making a profit, partly because government has ensured that the mineral wealth and the wealth of this country is shared by all, and ensuring that such companies like ArcelorMittal, which are critical for South Africa, don't collapse. So IDC, for example, ila overscore metals. Score Metals is a company Anglo-American. ISCO supplies to a number of companies, including Bosco. So if these companies, if ISCO collapse, and these companies collapse, it means first ISCO won't have many companies to sell their steel industry, their steel products. So they bought Score Metal 2012 to ensure that you save the steel industry.
Yeah.
But they went further. They went further, Barakale Highfield Steel, to ensure that 250 employees were saved, but also to make sure that ArcelorMittal can also continue servicing those companies. And 2015, those tariffs that were introduced by the government saved jobs. As we know that ISCORO Hanajwale employs about 10,000 people across the country, not only in Vanderbilt Park. In Vanderbilt Park, in Vernaching, and Newcastle. So these are all interventions that show that the ANC government has been serious about ensuring that the Freedom Charter is implemented, and it does everything to ensure. I can go on that because
only the few individuals
no ntate
O hanana le bona?
mamela ntate a ke re bona bana ba bua tsa bona nna ke batla go bua tsaka o ska nqobella re ke arabela le
mamela
bona
ntate mamela no ha ko qobelle ke batla go lane a ke re nane e ownwa kwena e ownwa kwena ba bolela ntwe ya hao ye e ownwang kwena e go nane only the few ke ba etsa ke batla ba botse go why it is not only
araba
the
hands ke araba ke re se ke buile ka minerals or how is the wealth South Africa is being saved. Just to make examples, DTI, Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, in a lead incentive schemes to make sure that government many businesses, including they get to benefit from government interventions. One of them is Small Enterprise Finance Agency, which has about 1.4 billion coming from tax to ensure that it usabo ragwebo over 90,000. IDC, Industrial Development Corporation, has put aside 9 billion who investor udikgwebo tsa bomme. Public Investment Corporation, the National Empowerment Fund, NEF, le bona have also put money aside to ensure that they support the business. So what I'm saying is that the wealth of this country is being shared with the people and ensuring that our people get to benefit, get to benefit from the wealth that is there. I can continue. For example, agro-processing support scheme. These are part of the interventions that the government is doing. There's aquaculture development and enhancements program. Government busy in the space agriculture. There's also black industrialist policy. I'm saying again that the clothing, textile, footwear and leather growth program. In the business and SA film and TV production. All right, you look
o ya ka mkgo ntate Kunene bulenga teng go tlela ho wena maikutlo a hao ka statement sa sentse.
Well, itumeleng e re ke be very honest. Ntate Kunene wa tseba hore whatever issues that raise particularly on this very critical aspect the wealth of the country. Ideal it is put into perspective. But if you can ask him a very direct question to say what is the economic policy of the ANC with regard to what he has been reading or what he has been responding on, is another story. Secondly, I don't think Kore is correct by simply saying, mentioning all this, your IDC, who's benefiting? The purpose was correct for them to establish those things. But who are beneficiaries of these things? I'm a businessman at my own space. I've never benefited from the National Empowerment Fund. And I will tell you why. The National Empowerment Fund, it is not just a fund that gives grant. They give funding, but you must also have a collateral. I will cite a very typical example that I think you will relate to. They funded Orange Farm Mall, particularly the Community Trust, with 50 million rand. You know what was the cash? The chairperson by then, Mr. Mkabele, had to secure the funding with his asset as what they call collateral in business. Now, the funding model was that in whatever money that they will accrue when the mall is operational, it will go directly to the NEF. The same trust was not given even, access to that particular fund. They managed the fund from somewhere at the NEF offices. The relationship of the two became sour when Community of Orange Farm were demanded to say, but how does this trust helping us? Because January now, we cannot even pay for the administration fees. So that is the brutality capitalism. Now, the ANC, that is why I explain the economic policy, because that would assist us when we talk about the all shall share the wealth of the country. And I still maintain that the wealth of this country is shared amongst those political cronies and those ones who are connected, particularly members of the ANC. Look at, I can actually cite, people who are said they have deployed in business from the ANC.
That's I mean, I'm happy. Re batla go tleng hape ne re khona go fana chancellor. That's sort of mo fa chancellor. Buenki ntate sona. Ya go ho ja dintho di ka tsa mmuso di tla di a putla.
I think the economic policy ya Kinsol le ANC is one of the same. Historically, they know or why their policies are the same. Look, nationalization is the way to go. We cannot make a case study with the corrupt members of the ANC who have collapsed the SOEs and say, if we nationalize the country's strategic key point would be in fallacy that we find ourselves today. Look at what is happening at ESCOM. Look at what is happening at Transnet, Dinel, and there are so many SOEs, including the SABC. It's part of the Chapter 9 institutions. Now, they are collapsing because of poor management. They are collapsing because of, cadre deployment policy of the ANC. Because they take people who don't necessarily have capacity to run those SOEs.
Oh, thank you.
Jamnandos have actually ensured that these SOEs are collapsing to the core. Now, the DA, if they are saying nationalization is not the way to go, we don't blame them, because they are saying, it's a capitalist organization, it's a liberal organization, then of course they are philosophies of us as Africans.
Sure. Tshebeletso ke yona tshebeletso ya Tata FM jole re tlo ya ho ntate Kingsol le yena re mo fo monyetla arabele taba tse le gore di hlaisitswe ke ntate Jimmy Dlamini le ntate Thulani Kunene ebe ha re tloa mono re ya hape ntate Thulani Kunene ebe a ikwale le yena re tlo fa monyetla wa go botsa dipotso ntate Kingsol sebaka ke sa hao.
You know, once the debate it degenerated into issues of race, it becomes a problem. Now Jimmy is saying the policies are not applicable to Africans. What does he mean? Sometimes that when you lose the sense of debate, then you resort to race politics. Now I think Nike to clarify, also to answer that Jimmy Dlamini. He can test his data, then we come back next week to the studio. I thought nationalism is a bit guy. And then Rona remotely says the data to time once our nationalization it collapses the economy guy. I think the ANC, dogs are doing some of the things that they're doing. They understand once Baka started by embrace nationalization fully, it will collapse the country. People will lose their jobs. Families will collapse. Look at this. Look what is happening in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe used to be the bread basket in Africa, but look today. You have teachers, you have professors. But in Zimbabwe, some of them are Pakistan Koloi, Dimolo. Is that what we want for South Africa? Now, the Thulani must not be economical, got the truth. Freedom Charter Hairi, the people shall share the wealth. Ibuaka the complete nationalization, total nationalization. Hence the day we are saying, Rona, we don't support the nationalization because we believe once the state becomes involved, that's why Jimmy indicated those who are connected will benefit. It leads to corruption. Ordinary people on the street are not going to benefit. A case about the high-felt steel or government is saving. Who owns it today and what is it called? That Highveld Steel is owned by a UK multinational company. They hold about 86% of the shares. I think it's Evra something holdings. They hold the majority
Of shares.
shares, about 85%. Roman Abramovich, and owner Chelsea, owns 30% stake in that Evra now owns Highveld Steel. It means our government did not save Highveld Steel. And when it says the people shall share in the wealth of the country, so it means our government will have the total control on mines. Government will have the total control of banks. But Jimmy is saying we cannot, what is the right way to give it? We cannot benchmark ANC because ANC, they are corrupt. Their cadre deployment has collapsed. Okay. But who are we supposed to benchmark against? It's South Africa country. Again, how you do your research, your benchmark. You start at home, then you go outside. I mean, in studio, Jimmy can even Google. Arjos or nationalization is a guy. Hahona mo nationalization is a bit. Hahona mo nationalization is a benefit. The citizens, it's a country that they're Now we are saying allow business to come, cut red tape, create a conducive environment, lower the taxes so that you attract investors. The reason really so much high level of unemployment, but is because we are not attracting the investors to create a misabit. Shaba honaje influence advertise the post. From the day influence advertise the post until the day it was closed. In all these scores of young people, balofola, babatla misabit because ha hona misabit hai available. But if environment mo influence conducive, re kgona attract the investors. Re kgona fana ka motlakase consistent. Re sna sewer e kana kana, re sna di potholes tse kana kana. So it means ke be attract the investors. And then also our cut red tape. Do you know regular lose a business? Do you know Heineken is supposed to be Heineken is supposed to be in Mfuleni?
I know.
Yes. But because of red tape, we lost that business.
Yeah, mamela. Mamela ke batla gona ne ba ske ba jana kwa go tsebe dingata dintho tsena. Thulani, ANC ha ne e ka bo after 1994 in e preacher the words nationalism. Ba re bona qetellong ona tsena e se e privatize dintho boholo ba tsona. Ebe e bone gona nationalism e faila na. It also o tla ka reta tsena
ke kopa hape le ntate Dlamini ke bo mamba benefitang o company tseo hape ke ngwe le ntate solo la hlalosa tameno ke kopa o ito beketse ntate Kunene.
Yeah. The ANC is a pragmatic organization that understands that renale responsibility o aha moruo wa naha renale responsibility o tsa sure batho ba sebetsa and that the wealth of this country is shared by as many people as possible. Let me make it one simple example. As part of the Mining Act, for South Africa currently, as we speak now, renale mines in 2004, 2004, the mine. Of those mines, 13 demo Mfuleni. Most of these mines, kitsa litsopa, that is clay, sand, including mine eating one umbrella pelaruna mona mobile details. 5 of these mines, the Kosa Sol, which is part of our area. One of those mines, mine is a mine coal. It's applying mashala ko Eskom. Part of the responsibilities of these mines, which is a responsibility the Mining Act, these mining companies must have social labor plans. Social labor plans demand about 4 things from a mining company. One of them is ensuring that they contribute to infrastructure yamaspala moba lingding, which is both all these 21 mines around our area. 5 in Sasol and the 13 in Mfuleni, which includes one Kosidibeng includes one Ekomid Valley, all these mines, manual responsibility how spend that child or infrastructure in terms of social labor plans. This is the plan that government ANC to ensure that the wealth that is shared, that the wealth from the underneath the soil is shared by the people. So social labor plans, all companies have to have developed a 5-year plan, a social labor plan. In that 5-year plan, annually it's reviewed. They must submit that plan. Secondly, besides just spending that money on infrastructure, they must also spend that money on procurement, on local business people, which is also ensuring that local business will get to benefit from the wealth of the country. The others here is about ensuring that there is bursaries that benefit the people. So I'm saying we make laws that ensure that we bring more people to benefit. As I've indicated, royalties that are benefiting from those mining companies are also getting to the tax, and those taxes are the ones that are also paying for social grants, which includes the special grant 350 and the grants that are earned by almost everybody. These are all things that are done to ensure that tšhelete ya moruo is shared by everybody, because how we get money as a people of this country is through taxes and companies. If you save companies that are employing people like Highfield Steel, irrespective that whoever finally owns it, like ArcelorMittal. ArcelorMittal is owned by Arcelor, company ya Switzerland, Lakshmi Mittal. But finally, we can't allow a situation where ArcelorMittal collapses because he owns a private individual. Therefore, first, it means loss of income in terms of tax, but second, it means everybody, about 10,000 employees, including our own employees. So the ANC government understands the economy. You don't act in a manner that is responsible and just say, no, we will just take over these companies and in a very reckless manner. We are doing things that we know that there's interconnection to make sure that finally you save Moruo and finally was assured what was saved. That's the plan of the ANC, and we are implementing those things, and most people are benefiting, and as we continue the Bureau of Freedom Charter, we'll also show that how much of that money gets to benefit everybody in this country.
Oh, thank you.
Jimmy, beyond being the CEO at the time, he took a sabbatical leave to concentrate on politics. That's simple, period. And in life, we have choices. The current constitution allows you know. So I think I've dealt with that matter that they do.
Yeah, ula hlalosa Momedi nke sabbatical leave ke ka ho a ileng mokgatlong ona wa ARETA le ka ile chairperson Dr. Dlamini arabo 063 073 7540 Momedi khotso Theta dumela
Potso A1 ke Comrade Bafana Madonna. Yeah, radical economic transformation.
It's ANC.
It's ANC. No, I can clarify. Ke political lecture. Radical economic transformation. There is no party that will claim monopoly over it. All South Africans, they have a right to talk about the radical economic transformation. Therefore, there is no cast in stone. Now, not anyone who can say this is my monopoly. Why we own it? ARETA, I'm not part of the debacle star Kali ANC. I'm talking about Kali is the president of the Radical Economic Transformation Movement. Or ANC, I don't know, and I don't have interest. Mara, as the radical ARETA, our fundamental principle is to ensure that radically we vigorously participate in the provision of the economy of this country. And we're going to do so unapologetically so. So I think that's the first one. Number two, Ntate Mukwena, the issue here, capitalism. I think Comrade is correct. In a capitalist society, minority will benefit, but majority will live in an advent poverty. Sheba, I get a case study. a lot of people, they are unemployed. Look at the conditions. Lack of service delivery. We don't have quality infrastructure. The infrastructure that we inherited from the Nationalist Party, it has deteriorated. It has collapsed. It tells you that if we don't have visionaries, people who have the zeal of ensuring they create a conducive environment for public, who would be in these conditions. Canal 29 years in a democratic society. But can you pride yourself with that 29 years? To me, it's a wasted years. Because when you look around, look at Val. Val is like, it's an area that is outskirts of Gauteng. When you are in Val, there's no development, there's nothing. And whatever what we queued in 1994 voter, whatever aspirations that we have, has never seen the light of the day. We went to the polling station to say we want better life for all. We never said better life for the cronies and the connected ones. We never said better life for those ones who are sitting as REC members in the ruling party. We never said that. We said we need to address the imbalances of the past. We need to have decent housing. Not this RDP. RDP is our clowns. Because the struggle our struggle, particularly in the Val, we're saying the houses still need to be by then, zone 3, zone 11, the mesh box. Understanding background we are Rona as Africans, you'll find on 21 maximum 6. Now, how RDP? Where's decency? Where's dignity there?
Yeah, we talk about for freedom charter you
okay, maybe before I put areas there's no development, but Val on a development. It's clear Val on a development. Development is only in mid-Val. Only Val on a development, but in mid-Val there's development. Next time we will be behind. Jimmy Dlamini raised a very important point. But to Babangat, Mona Val, they are not employed. As an example, the posts and the clay go in fully. Those has been a my post, but from the advertiser until the call, declining its host. So, only 10 positions they are available. Now, possibly we apply about over 100,000 in the Val. So, it won't have the seriousness. Now, are we saying if tomorrow, when to nationalize the land, nationalize the banks, nationalize the mines, but we to say go fen, to create a mesebetsi, kapa to have unemployment ka half. I'm saying the situation will be far worse than what it is now. Ho Bafana Madonna buanka or Meiko ya mid-Val Rexide positions. Those allegations were tested, but down until eligible. Now we're saying we must deliver services to Strel. Mid-Val spends most of their budget in Strel in trying to develop Strel. And what is also funny, but now mid-Val does not deliver to black communities. Yet today, we have a petition about 21. But about 21, but we fully recopa who are mid-Val. So now, if Iluru mid-Val was not delivering to black communities, would the residents that would 21 want to belong to mid-Val? They want to belong to mid-Val because they know they are going to benefit. And lastly, I think under the anti-nationalization and how there's no need to vote. There is a need to vote. All the eligible voters, Baza vote October voter registration weekend. It's one in your numbers, let's register. Basa voting, how low vote to about vote. But regular matching in the address by saying low register and low voter because that is the only way you're going to change situations alone. Now the Thulani Habua Atlanta mine the mine corporate social responsibility. and they're supposed to help in terms of infrastructure, in terms of giving bursaries. Now, he said, I think Mfuleni we have 3 minds. In terms of their corporate social responsibility, what is it that they're doing? Are they helping in terms of developing our infrastructure? Are they giving young people bursaries? Are they helping? So you must tell us. Hence, we are saying the approach ANC to everything is wrong. Hence, we are outlining though it's not an official position on the free, but our policies based on that. Hence, we work economic justice. So for business, let's create conducive environment. That cutting the red tape. So that we grow the economy. But today, how can we no, but to prefer the social grant, like prefer the 350. Highly social grant, the 350, to prefer 100% of the people will tell you, we prefer than the handout the government are fine.
All right. Relevant to Sol. If you like to make a can alena zoo hamukwena ntate kunene dia huena ntate jimila mena niena ho ya ka tlhakola bona ARETA hona diphetho tse entsweng o entse le mohlala hape ka di phiri tla khutela o tsona high court a se ntlo tse le hore di ka helwa batho ntate Sol le ena walla ka mona ka se dibeng ha una diphetho ho hanga ya tseba lona ha isa le busana le TTS le teng ke ntlo tse fentse le hore le ka di super hore ha isa le kena puso le di entse jole ka ha bontate Dlamini ba hanana lona ba ho hang ha una development ka ha sedibeng se ka akaretsa.
I hope that Dlamini won't take offense because what's the ntho e buang a se nnete and what's the na ke a tse ntho e buang a se nnete mara ntse tswela pele o buang ditho tse seng nnete a se nnete re mo vale mo in the last 29 years nothing has happened. It's totally untrue. It's not the truth. To compare what has happened in the last 29 years with what the ANC government has done the last 29 years, you are being untruthful when you say nothing has happened. Infrastructure that has collapsed, or on nix, we destroyed. National Party only built infrastructure in Vanderbijl Park and Vernaching. Only. That's what they did. There was no infrastructure that they built in Everton. There was no infrastructure that they built in Sebokeng. The ANC government has tried over the last 29 years to Kenya did say Haramakation. It's not enough. That's why when we also went and got assistance from the provincial government because of my MOFM Mfuleni. We're going to have about 40 roads Hara Mfuleni. So Everton, the whole of Everton, there was no light, there was darkness, there was no electricity. As we speak now, we have problem load shedding because National Party only supplied electricity to Mahua. And the ANC expanded access to electricity to almost every township. Moval, there's no old township has no electricity. None. All townships have electricity because of the ANC government. To say there's nothing that has happened is not true. There's clinics. Almost every 5 kilometers there's a clinic. That's what the ANC government has built. The schools that have been built have been improved over the last 29 years. So to say nothing has happened is a lie. It's a lie. That is who. Anya ni fela ndata. Akere haba bua bonde bana bafana ko enough. Ndata mamela ndata. So ngena haba araba bafana ko ba hlwelle ba ikarabele. Ai lena mfena ko. Unemployment is a problem that we have identified as leadership of the ANC. That's why we push on SEZ in 4 areas. One, already land has been secured. Next year, the SEZ will start in operation because that SEZ, its purpose is to try and bring investment. Because companies, instead of paying 28% tax, in the SEZ area, they top 15%. Which will help companies get more SEZ and then jobs will be created. That's something that has happened in other areas. There's other SEZ. It's not a new thing, but it's being brought here into the Val to ensure that there's employment creation. So we know as ANC that in fact we even know how many people are unemployed in the Val because it's our problem that we have identified, and we have a plan to deal with unemployment so that we change maphelo a batho. So
how many, as you said, how many people you know, how many people are
No, we know.
employed in Valley, how many?
There's about 200,000 people that are servicing more VAT. Just over 200,000. It's a huge number that we know. That's why reading this program to try and reduce it. It's not going to happen over time, but there are plans. That's why Linda Panyaza are introducing some of these programs to reduce unemployment all over Gauteng. As you know, he has established this thing as 6,000 jobs for Tuatlinang, but they are temporary jobs. But we are working on creating more permanent jobs through the SEZ as one of the interventions. That's why Iskoro had to be saved so that Iska collapse through the interventions of government.
Ha ke ne ho ya bobedi wa
Alright, ho na le ntate Sola sa ga bang kutlile a re phapang e teng pakeng tsa Emfuleni le mona hore Mid-Valley ka Australia ha ona development ho ha.
No, I think ke etsa example ka hore batho ba 21 mo Emfuleni ba batla ya Mid-Valley. I think ne ke araba question ya hae hore why would the residents tsa Emfuleni, especially a 100% predominantly black community, e batlo ya under Mid-Valley ba itse pet petition ba rona re kgathetse ke Emfuleni re batlo ya Mid-Valley. So you know this thing here in Mid-Valley we don't deliver with black, it's just a propaganda you know push against political opponents. But if you go let's forget the informal areas, because the informal areas across all over South Africa there is a challenge in terms of delivering services to informal settlement. But go to the settlement areas, the formal settlement areas in Mid-Valley. And I think it's not the first time it was saying that. Leaders take it in the zona studio, even Lelona Teta FM, we can even go. Let's go to choose the area in Mid-Valley. More Odulambat Babazo, in a formal area. More Mid-Valley I deliver the service. You choose an area, Rebena Kortamere reach it. And then Hale Huta little compare in food and then tell me Leboni in Mid-Valley.
Yeah, Mamedi ha ke ne
Mkwena ke correct ntate Thulani.
Oh, thank you.
Ishunya motlakase ko Everton. I was born ko Everton. In 1991, Everton was electrified.
During the NP, National Party.
Exactly. Everton it was motlakase in 1991. It's Everton, I grew up in Everton. I knew everything about Everton. Now it is incorrect for him to say, since Bafita in power, they've electrified Everton.
Oh, yeah.
Alright. Hey, kutlwe ntate Dlamini se botla ya gabela hape go tla kutlwa go police tsa ANC di dia tshwana.
Okay.
O nane hape ha ka yona.
Le mfe nako le nna ke name bontate e tse ke fa tshibila bina go telele tse se ska protesta ga ke bua.
Look, ke botsitse ntate Kunene hore what is the economic policy ya ANC? Because when you look at the current economic format, it is a neoliberal policies that runs the government that is led by the African National Congress. Now, why I've articulated to say these two comrades, their policies are the same. Comrade Sol is actually saying they cannot opt for nationalization.
Yes.
Precisely because of the reasons that he cited. Now, their policies are complementary, are the same. Because their policies promote capitalism. In a capitalist society, minority benefit, majority are stagnated in an advent poverty. Now, you cannot have a capital policy where you promulgate to be representing the people. Especially 55 million South Africans that are dependent on government for services. Now, if you commercialize the basic services, it becomes a very serious problem for an ordinary person in the street. I'm saying Chapter 9 institutions, particularly the SOEs, bits and pieces are commercialized. And the rationale around that, they would say, we are opening space for investors. But who are these investors? And who ultimately happens to be the beneficiary of these transactions? Are those elite that are close to the president. You know, so I categorically cited to say the two organizations, these two political parties, they embrace the same economic policy. Thank you.
All right. This one?
No. You know, that is Dlamini. If you don't criticize.
I'm not.
Listen, home mates. If you are going to criticize, compare the policies, I think the best thing you can do is to read. I want to like it if people criticize maybe economic policy, ARETA, solidarity, ANC. That means I'll read and understand it. Our economic policy is one the ANC. Let's example, empower. But South Africa, you know, ANC it empowers people. They create few millionaires. Now we are saying the way no, but the simplest now God. I know but criticize. But not dear support the black economic empowerment. But we have our reasons for not supporting black economic empowerment. As it is outlined by the ANC. Economic justice policy. To say if you want to determine who you are going to empower, hurry use a formula every user who dispensa the social grant. Formula every user who dispensa the social grant. High be on a sebedisang who empower Rabat. Now, to remember to Babanga the social grant. It's black people. So it means if you adopt economic justice policy, your DA, you're going to empower the majority of black South Africans.
All right. But this one, Dlamini kuka capitalism. Na police na di pusha capitalism na.
You know, haneki bua mona ke believe in a free market economy. And if you go bala maybe constitution ya DA. The policies I don't remember capitalism. Oh, this is what we're pushing for. And remember, every buaga, about capitalism is a system or a benefit. Baba sends a sharp, panaling hot. But now, economic justice policy or now, how to empower Rabat, how using formulary sebidisang of about to the social grant, cap of about to the 350. Kibu mama for land line is at the 350. It's black people, young black people. The idea we are saying those are the people that needs to be empowered. If we have the patterns, it's empowerment, especially when it comes to black people, since the dawn of democracy. We check the patterns that day. All of them history in the ANC. All of them connected to the ANC. Why boy? Thulani one young black person, ordinary, associated to the ANC. He was empowered. Business he was able to grow. He empowered government move. Even the Libo NYDA. Do you know there was a program? I'll show you or why the dispute in terms of development. On a program I think they were extending an RDP house. Karata is example no extension 11. NYDA gave 550,000. To say of these 150,000, you're going to train, I think, 20 young people. And then those young people will participate in the building of that house, kappa renovation of that house. Let have a first salary 1,500. But where's a 2. And then have a le tlo ba rekela the tools of trade to the value of 40,000. Do you know that 550,000 ile pokotong tsa batho? No young people were paid. Batho ba batjha ba rekelwa di toolbox tse. So hence the patterns tsa empowerment tsa government ya rona dispute ke ntho rona re le mogahlo wa diri. Let us adopt, and also annually tshwantse re ntsha di statistics for as government in terms of empower kapa re tlise high closer to home. Emfuleni batho ba re in the last financial year these are the businesses tse re ba empowering re ba thotse ba le monana ra banka ra ba beya monana sa ba le mona today. That's how you empower. That's how also you address the issue of unemployment. How now there are a lot of young people in our area but the best ideas, they can help this municipality to grow, but they are not given an opportunity. It's because we are only focusing on the top layer. Ba connected. O khona access a King Sol ka ba khona access a Thulani anytime a matlang ka yona. But that young person a dulang Everton e lo reng ha khono access a Thulani ka ba khono access it means yena ba mo deny the opportunities. Do you know in the last 5 years Thulani will tell you if I'm lying, Emfuleni haina a single program that only targets young people to say this program is for young people. We seek to empower young people at this program. Only young people. If I'm lying, for 5 years. So it means the police. I think from now how outline out
from 7 o'clock up to now it is 23 minutes past 8. It's a debate and 21. You are like a Shebilo and you are Mamid. Re outline kaofela e tle ha re etsa debate re dumella batho jwale ntse re tlo di etsa tse ha tle re di botleng kaofela nte re Thulani go fela for 2 minutes fela go na le kgone go tlo di atlolana kaofela
maybe ARETA obviously it's a new party abasobile nako ya understand the economy consists of many industries, so there is no simple single policy that you can say this is a policy because there's many industries. Just Felanje, government has done lots of plans for all industries because for every industry there must be a plan on how you support that particular industry. For example, the furniture industry, it's a big industry. Government has a master plan of supporting the furniture industry. There's a Kibuileka Steel master plan, affecting Ronaldo Valley, which is on an automotive industry master plan. Working with the company Koloi, Ko Pitori, Ko Tabech. They are supported those companies. Sugar master plan. So there's many industries that I'm just mentioning few, so that the simple basic principle is that you must support every industry. Just exactly just like Colonel S said. And many other plans also in the Artobuaga land, there's other interventions who support about in the agricultural sector. So all these things are done using government resources to support government, to support people, to ensure that they survive. So it's not just a simplistic. So they're simplistic, as if one economy is just one thing. It's too broad than they think.
Oh, yeah. Mamed,
let me directly respond to Thulani. Kibutse Thulani ka economic policy ya ANC, not a government. I am mindful to the fact that there are so many sectors of economy. So I was referring to my statement when I'm saying the ANC, I believe their policy are capitalist policy.
You know, the ANC is running government, policy of government are policy of the ANC. In short, the ANC translates its policies into government policies.
Mama, can you give a Mamidi hand? 2 million. Ready water generator, half a Mamidi now. Hand shall be shared amongst to those who live on it. Well, Mamidi, to come up on any bag 2 minutes, ready painted, Lunali, botanical.
actually, King's Hall, but
The land shall be shared amongst to those who works on it or who live on it.
Well, our view, Kataba ya lefatshe zoo, we believe lefatshe la Africa Borwa le belong to the indigenous South Africans. We are very clear of regard to
100%.
100%. Not those who work on it or those who live in it, but the lefatshe la Africa Borwa le belong to my Africa. That's our view and our official position.
or le belong home Africa.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it will be like it ha botsa ba media one ya bona e reng ka nako. Ntate Kinsol.
And that Freedom Charter calls for the redistribution of land to address the injustices that are passed and to provide the needs of all South Africans. DA supports the land reform that is fair, transparent, based on the principle of market economy, with compensation for landowners. The party also believes in the protection of property rights, the rule of law, and has opposed efforts to expropriate land without compensation.
Oh, it means your DA support this statement.
DA, yes, but we are opposed to expropriation of land without compensation.
Oh, people shall not be robbed their cattle. People shall not be forced for labor. Farms, prisons shall be abolished. Kinto le support na kaofela. Mamedi ke ke wa bona ke tlo fa chance ya go kaofela. Ke batla ke re di kete pele e ga ha o botsa o tluile bana itumele.
Yeah, the ANC over the last 29 years has done a lot to transform the land issue. Land, what they've done with it is a different story. But part of the Freedom Charter, it says the state shall help the peasants with implement seed tractors and dams to save the soil and assist the tillers. That's part of what it says. So just alone, last year, just to indicate, 157,000 farmers, subsistence farmers, body farmers were helped by government through police ANC. Ensuring that the Freedom Charter is through land development support programs. 83 farmers were also helped. And IDC approved about 20 transactions, creating about 845 jobs. 30% being owned by women business and 30% being owned by youth. So we have dealt also with we have ensured through the land bank that 35 transactions just last year were supported, which created 588 jobs, and 33% of those were women and 27% were young people. In 2022, the Maize Trust spent 17.9 million on transformation and assets, and it was able by 4,650 being active in the maize business. Of those, 94 farmers are commercially viable and 195 are potential farmers. 50 million was spent on the citrus, supporting on the citrus industry, supporting 124 black farmers to ensure Bahona and about 50 of those farmers were exporting about 6 million cartons. I'm giving statistics of what the ANC government has done in just 1 year to ensure that it brings, so it's not just land for its own sake, it's land or so that people can benefit. So we're not just saying land for its own sake. Land must be used to benefit the people, and the ANC government-led government under Metogo Titiza and the provincial government is supporting also farmers. So there's a lot being done to ensure that we bring this thing to fruition. As a statement, like in the Dlamini, because there's just a part that can afford to say anything that is easy to say. About in government, now we are actually doing these things. Already we feel as thorough from the comfort of the studio.
Yeah, really work like a peliana fellow and itla go wena o ke tlo fana kwa go batla go tla ba botsa ke batla ha re 9 o'clock re be di ketile itumele ithotena e re be se re botsa all shall be equal before the law. Viewpoint ARETA.
Look, we agree. Everyone has to be equal before the law, regardless of political status or status in the country.
Is it happening?
Look, in my view, is that when you look, let me just make a case study about the former president Jacob Zuma. The current saga that was go High Court on Wednesday and Thursday. When you look at the judiciary and the treatment that he got, differs with what we believe all shall be equal before the law. But let me quickly migrate to this and put context on it. Thulani is actually saying we are talking from the comfort of the studio. We are not in government. Yes, we agree we are not in government. But on the same breath, not in government does not...
all before shall be before the Lord.
No, I respond to this one because Chief, you raise an issue. So if Thulani,
no, I gotta give Arabi. I never tried to pela bona.
No, this is a debate.
All right.
I hear you are saying we're not taking from the comfort of the studio.
Yes.
And it does not it does not require a scientist to see Hore. The government, well, states they are very good national states. But let's cascade it here home so that we can simplify and practicalize it and say, this is really happening. We have these particular challenges that we are having as a country because ANC, they're very good in terms of sugarcoating issues, talking. You know, they are very good in terms of that. But let me go back to the issue at hand. All shall be equal before the law. Yes, the law requires that, and we all agree that we should be equal before the law, irrespective whether you are poor or rich, educated or non-educated. But in the eyes of the law, we must be equal. We agree. We concur with that.
Tshebeletso ke yona tshebeletso ya FM mamedi rena le mokgatlo wa ARETA DA ANC tata tsamile mo hape ya botlhokwa ke yena ra tseba gore ba seo ba fitlhile lefatsheng ka kwano banka dintho ka mahahapa ke ntho e re etsebang landa tesola ka se
Ndade itumile ke nako ya rona re arabe dipotso o se khulela le Dlamini hape a ke rona
ba doctor statement sa ARETA hore na
se kopana ka equality before the law
unda di kopana
e kopana ka equality before the law
no a ke re potso o botse potso all before the law a re me chance do arabe yona e so motsa engwe hape
Ndade mwena we fully subscribe to that thing, all shall be equal before the law. Hence, one of the principles that the Democratic Alliance is equality before the law. Redumela, whether we are an ordinary citizen, capo president, the law should treat us equally. But the incident, the creeping incident, Sheba and the other phrase, or deposer. Affidavit police station a report that the palafal nothing is happening. I hope recently in that day Paul Mashatile na defend the parliament monda dembegu laba mngwala am call to order, or that's not how democratic governance works. So but I'm saying all the incident is but that thing, that principle, the freedom charter to say whether you are black, you are white, you are poor, you are rich, we should be equal before the law. Hence the principle equality before the law.
Oh, now you say some they didn't have the practice.
Yeah, the incident is
well, ANC has always respected the law. That day Mandela was taken to court in the late in the President Rabi organization. So Thabo Mbeki was taken to court on number of occasions, including the Zuma, including the Ramaphosa. All our presidents and all our members, none have been not been allowed or have got preferential treatment in front of the law. So we exercise this thing, all shall equal before the law. And the Renze Milao, everybody is equal before the law. So nobody, no member of the ANC has had preferential treatment. So we support this statement.
No, are you saying even CRA honale unta balabamisa court?
And that is and many other people have taken him to court. He goes to court, he represents himself like any other citizen.
jwale ka lethotana all shall enjoy the human rights. ARETA?
Well, we agree that all should enjoy human rights. It's a principle that is user friendly. We subscribe to. We are okay.
You don't have a problem.
We don't have a problem. We are okay with it.
Oh, DA?
But we support fully. I mean, we support the Bill of Rights or everyone. Whether you are black or you are white, you should enjoy the full rights. I think in an IBD does not even want us to substantiate further. We fully support.
Oh.
I know that we support the human rights.
Oh, thank you. Mamedi ha re kene ho yengwe hape ke there shall be work and security.
Of course.
You even talk about unemployment in Monaco too. There shall be work and security.
Look, the ANC moves right and walk left. There shall be work and security. And when you look at the state of the country, vast majority of our people are unemployed. And when you raise these issues sharply, they will tell you that you are new. And the challenges that we have envisaged, they've been there for years, you know. So we are saying we support this particular clause with the content that says we need to ensure it is a democratic right. I think this is the basis of our constitution. Employment, it is a democratic right, it's not a privilege. And the ANC must discharge that responsibility of excellency and leave this mentality of them, of talk shopping. Well, so we
What do you
live...
think about the police?
There should be. You see, these are constitutional imperativeness. There should be security in the country. We need to stay or live in an environment that is free, that is conducive for living. We should not be living in an area where you are scared to be victimized. You can't drive at night. You cannot go to malls because crime is rife. The minister, which is the TV personality celebrity, would go to TV and say, minister now this crime this country. So, but it is a very deployed person to say, go and take responsibility of the security of the country. And Remoni, he said, crime South Africa is shocking as a minister. Now, this is a very complex issue, security in the because, you see, in a society where government does not necessarily take care of the security personnel, the likelihood is that we have these problems with security. So I'm saying government must create a very conducive working environment for security personnel so that we can improve security in this country. That is our official position.
Thank you. Kinso?
I think the policies that have been benchmarked and tested against the best policies in the world support this statement that there should be work for South Africans, and also there should be security. I mean, we are not safe currently. I mean, the person who cannot talk about TP house. One of the first things that you do, Kenya di Batla. I mean, but babo me honaje abatsamai freely, bana ba rona ba tsamai freely. There's so much that is happening. I mean, security cannot be guaranteed currently in the current government. But that is the statement, that is the principle from the Freedom Charter, that is the day we support full. But South Africa, they must work, but to and also they must feel safe in their country.
Now you saying the DA security, you are not yet safe. It means the government is not doing enough.
You know, some questions are going to be offer a scenario where the first person talk about the country,
that means security. Thulani Kunene.
Yeah. As I said, ANC recognizes Matata our Shokamisevits. That's why Nantori gets what was some of them are short term, some of them some of them includes making up for those who can't get jobs like the grants. For example, the Depanyaza, state of the province address high. o committee that in the next 5 years 152,000 young people but lo hirwa ke provincial government and re money that Panyaza ha bui fela ga etsa o bile apara 100,000 of those will be expanded public works program, which is a short-term intervention as a sure but at least every month, and then 40,000 educational and general teacher assistants will also be hired as part of those short-term jobs, because you can't just leave people without any income and hope that something will happen without doing anything. Ababuaka 6,000 crime prevention wardens, which already been appointed. We know that about 4,000 of them have been appointed. There are continuing efforts to appoint the rest of the 2,000. Also, government during COVID, it established until it's on 350, which is social relief of distress grant. If it's about 7.8 million people, because government also recognizes that there are people who are unemployed who need that relief, and government is working on developing a longer-term alternative program like basic income support to ensure that it replaces the SRT grant or the 350 grant, because we recognize that the task of creating jobs is going to take a bit longer, but in the meantime you have so, and there's going to be about 36,000 people that the president said are going to be recruited through the National Youth Service to enable young people to ensure that and 10,000 young people were also appointed to ensure about digitize. It means but the records of Home Affairs from paper to all digital. So all these are efforts that have been done to ensure that you create misebetsi both long term and short term.
Yeah, having your organization, when we government in ANC
ANC-led government.
Oh, ANC-led government.
Yes.
Mamela, especially Bachaba 18 to 35 years. How about 36 years?
No, there are some programs that also include above 36. Not all government programs are short term. They are only about 18 to 35. There are those that also take above 35.
The doors of learning and culture shall be open.
Security that for example, only panic button in that as part of dealing with the issue
GBP.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that the panel is how we got into fail. We got on a dead drone, the atla. We will already next year. Helicopters will be bought. This year already, as we're speaking now, there are cars already ad implementer. That's the this law enforcement agencies. 400 new police cars already they've started to implement them from the 1st of May. So these are things that already and already work especially security companies to ensure that we fight crime. So there's a very comprehensive strategy crime in Gauteng, both government and national government. Which includes 10,000 police officers that are going to be added in this financial year.
Oh, thank you. The doors of learning and culture shall be open. ARETA.
Well, look, we agree with this law because our interest or our focus, we are focusing more on education as ARETA. We want young people to be capacitated. In fact, all across the age limit groups. We want we want a country where individuals are educated and are capacitated adequately to understand, the economic patterns of the country, including the system that do exist and also the policies of our government. Because if people are becoming informed or capacitated, they are able to make informed decisions because they will have an adequate understanding with regard to issues or topical issues that they will be talking about. And as ARETA, education is close to our heart. We say That is why we're talking about demilitarizing, you know, for patriotism of the country. We're saying, in our view, we need to capacitate young people. We need to equip them to ensure that they become academically and physically fit to understand these issues. Now, we've seen the Fees Must Fall campaign, because in our tenure as students, we believed in dynamic, free and compulsory education for all, because we've obstructed that from the same freedom charter, particularly this particular clause. It was actually talking to us when we're talking about dynamic, free and compulsory education for all. Education is close to us as an organization because we understand the offspring of education. You know, when you have capacitated leaders, the likelihood is that they will make informed decisions and they will steer the country into the right direction because they would have the technical know-how, they would understand. Now, there's a very crystal law that we subscribe to as ARETA. That is our official position.
Dear, the doors of learning and culture shall be open.
We fully agree with that. As the Democratic Alliance, we are saying equal access to education. We are also saying a child, an education that is given to a child, Adulan Sentin, must also be given to a child, Adulan Small Farm. And also, we plan that ARETA fees must fall. As a Democratic Alliance, we are not supporting the issue, yeah, fees must fall. Because we are saying if King Sol Chabalala can afford Upatalawana University, if King Sol gets about 100,000 a month, can afford Upatalawana University, must pay. But even that they do mailing, as a bit of more, 4,000-5,000 rent, government should intervene. At two saying one that they do mailing. Or ISkolong batswadi bana ba hodiswang ke bonkgono ka di-social grant, government e tshwanetse a thuse bana bao through NSFAS. Bana ba batswadi ba sa sebetseng tshwanetse ba thuso hore ba fihle sekolong, empa re ka se treat ngwana wa motswadi a dulang River East le ngwana wa le motswadi wa ngwana a dulang mo Everton, re ba treat equal. Di circumstances tsa bona ha di tshwane, di different. But as the Democratic Alliance, we are saying everyone must have an access to education. Doors of learning should be open to everyone. And then I think if we can have seen the amount of good work it's on Shadow MEC education and that the Kumera Molif, I expose some of the things and also who to support at the current government, we still have kids. Toilet, 29 years into democracy. Is that giving bana that quality education, kapa environment irresponsible for bana barona quality education? So is the Democratic Alliance saying a laboratory eskolon high school year sentence must also be in a laboratory most
yeah. Ke question wena pa ke tlo ikuela ba mamedi especially wo fees must fall hore e re tle go botsa fela hanyane fela o tlo a tika yona. Are you saying unani mhlomo go bana ba fees must fall a minimum ya ngwana a sa tlhola go nani aka patala ko tertiary ke a motswedi a kgolang bokae jwale ka
Honorable Democratic Alliance through organization DA Youth 400,000 per annum.
400,000 per annum.
Yes.
Oh, motswadi ha kgola
less than 400,000 per annum, then government is answering.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
And that the ANC-led government has progressively improved the quality of education. There's been a number of schools of specializations that have been created that has ensured that there's better access to education. Through the Panyaza University education, bana ba file the tablet, the introduced the digital boards. So a lot has been done. We improve education. When it goes to national government, ka 2010, for example, 153,000 young people graduated. But ANC government has increased the number of people who get graduated. As of 2021, 233,000 people graduated. And most of those graduates were females. In fact, 64% and 36% were males. Over the last 3 financial years, for example, NSFAS, which is an ANC-led government initiative, 2019-2020, 300,000, close to 400,000 young people were given NSFAS. By end of 2022, about 431,000 young people were given NSFAS. Go to university fail. How you go to TVET college? 2019-2020, 200,000 people were given NSFAS, but benefited to NSFAS. By end of this financial year, 329,554 young people benefited through NSFAS. And government is also establishing 2 universities. One ko Pitori mo Gauteng, one ko Pitori, one ko Hammanskraal, another one ko Ekurhuleni, which are also improving education yabana in South Africa.
Thank you. Mamedi, there shall be house, security, and comfort. Mamedi, eke elong ni ba dumela tsolampa na ntutu dia etsala na ho ya ka ntho. ARETA, there shall be houses, security, and comfort.
Basically, we concur with this one. There shall be houses, but we need to give it context. Decent houses.
Decent houses.
There should be decent houses and security and comfort. And when we talk about decent houses, we're not talking about this RDP houses. We talk about decent houses that the chairperson of the ANC can sleep, can live on that particular house. So we are saying houses provide dignity and comfort. When you don't have, currently in the 29 years of a democratic society, we still have so many South Africans who don't have houses, which is a constitutional obligation. It's not happening. And as ARETA, we are saying, we need to ensure that these are not just an ideal or policies that are seated there, but there should be an implementation. By now, we should have at least 70% of South Africans having decent houses. By now, in 29 years. Because we can't say, when people were voting in 1994, they voted basically because of these principles and ideals. And say, at least now, in a democratized society, I'll be having a decent house, comfort, and security. And none of this, to many South Africans who are still having the C forms, we are talking about the C forms every day. We still have grannies who are still crying out loud to say, I'm in my 99 years now, I don't have a house. But the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, that is the cornerstone of our democracy, stipulate clearly that there should be the houses. In fact, to South Africans that are not necessarily having houses by now, in a normal circumstances, they would have gone to Human Rights Commission to say my constitutional rights have been violated. I don't have a house even today. So, you know, we should not sit and politic and forget the context. This what the government have vowed to say this should be happening as they're stipulated in Constitution. So it is said, when you look around, many South Africans, they are homeless, they don't have houses. So our position as ARETA is that this should be fast-tracked, this should be implemented. Decent houses must be built for people.
Yeah.
That is our official position.
From 1996.
That I'm going to statement this principle from the Freedom Charter, the Democratic Alliance, we support like fully. There should be houses for South Africans. There should be security. Now, my interpretation of the security that relates to houses, my interpretation is that You only have security to your house when you have a title deed. If you don't have a title deed, you don't have a security to your house. Now, say tomorrow the government decides to say, no, we are nationalizing the land. So it means no one will have a title deed. And those that have title deeds, those title deeds will be invalid. And now, remember, once the land is in possession of government, where now you don't have a say. So you don't. There is no security. My interpretation, because the government owns the land, they can do anything they want with it. What they do is to lease you. So it means those who are owning RDP houses, the RDP house still are never a sabatabo. Babanaling the bonded houses, the bonded houses still high salatable. That they hunter support nationalization co-extension level. So it means go sana nationalize on ring government do file yon. High salint to a government. So now came to ring respect the property rights. You only get a security through your title deed. Currently that them going I have a house, I have a land. Do I want the government to take my land, to take my house? And remember, it's through assets like land and houses where you are able to build generational wealth. Now we want to build generational wealth for the generations that we need to build legacy for the generations that but how are we going to do that if we don't own houses, if we don't own the land? And also it talks about comfort. Do you know how Midval applied to the Gauteng provincial government to say fake accreditation as Midval allow us to build social houses of the future? Do you know Gauteng provincial government is refusing?
Why?
If Midval will finally show Bonang rural Midval municipality, Gauteng provincial government is refusing. Even that matter, I say Salga to say no, but the Gauteng provincial government, you're out of order. If a municipality, if a Midval municipality, accreditation or by Kylie includes about and have a high RDP fell by the RDPs of the future. In 20 there must be comfort. If we want current comfort to be done. So Midval wants to do that, but the Gauteng provincial government, which is led by the ANC, is refusing.
Oh yeah, and that Thulani Kunene.
No, the
9 o'clock.
Yeah, the J-led government Midval has frustrated Batbako Ward 1 next to the Val Dam, who are supposed to have long received houses. They've done everything to ensure that those people don't get houses. So I can understand that King Sola ka commitment when they have demonstrated clearly with their actions that they don't support housing developments in their own area. They want to remove those people because those people have a nice view to the dam. So Baba frustrate or was in prime land. So how can you trust such people with provision of houses when they've done everything in their power to frustrate our people from getting houses? But hey, the ANC government has progressively increased the subsidy and better houses are being built. For example, this year, starting from 1st April, subsidy are what we call RDP house, Sebiswa PNG, breaking new ground. In nearly 196,000, Imova now, the whole structure, both services and top structure, is only 205,000. Houses for what disabilities, it is now moved from 209,000 to 271. Military veterans, the house moved from 240 to 312. Then there's also finance for first home finance, that is people who are country for the first time. Baholang between 3,000 and 22,000, Eba 130 to 269,000. Social housing, which will move from 328,000 to 424,000. And from now on, every house, RTP house, from next year, from this financial year going forward, to look at the solar panels, because government has understood that people must have basic electricity, and with all our challenges, every house is for solar panels, and all houses about say for the disabled people, to make sure that people have. And then government has introduced what is called first home finance, and that is what I would because this middle qualify for RDP house, also qualify for a bond. So government has ensured that batho ba golang between 3,000 and 22,000, they get to qualify for this for this first home finance. It's also but a subsidy on a sliding scale. So this was announced this year. It's a new policy provision to make sure that people also who did not previously qualify. So there's a number of interventions that government is doing. Kibilaka first home finance. I can explain who qualifies, but because of time, there's also a program which is Gauteng, Ikagheleng Rapid Land Release Program. That program, Leona, but apply you must be South African. It targets between 3.5 and 7,000 rand. They will receive land for free, and those between 7,000 and 22,000, they will also receive land for free. Then they will get the subsidies. These are all programs because we know that there's just too many people, and as ANC-led government, we want to make sure that people also get to benefit from the housing provision. So we didn't just say let's build RTP houses, because we know if you have to build RTP houses for everybody, you need about 1 trillion rand, which is not affordable.
Mamedi, Mamedi, there shall be a peace and friendship.
Ba reng ka bona na ARETA heka thola monyetla mohlomong ba be puso ke yona lona ne se le ga bile tate Thulani o itse tate metho disease o sa fane ka mafatshe a mang a itseng le dikgomo
ke nana hore mohlomphe le gona re arabile that question to say expropriation of land without compensation. It's what it's our philosophical belief. Le ARETA re believe hore ba nketsweng lefatshe le tlamehile go khutsetswa go bona irrespective of whatever material conditions that do exist. But really, anyone lefatshe la linkuweng, that person must get this land back.
Thank you, Dlamini. 063 073 7540 he ke o fa monyetla go WhatsApp wa botse dipotso jole nako ena he Mamedi re betse wena mo Mamedi o botse potso efe kapa efe.
Topic ya Freedom Charter, but utlwe e se unfoldela elsewhere, but hey, now maybe it's part and parcel of the whole package. Ya hore re qetella re ithola re bua ka the economic setup it benefits certain people, some doesn't, and all that. But you know, maybe we need a proper round table session where we can unfold the whole Freedom Charter from a political oriented perspective. I'm not saying the guys are speaking nonsense there.
Or since February to date, ke kopa batho ba na le di campaign ha ba respect mesebetsi ya batho. I don't recall hona le ekgwedi since January till today where basebetsi ba theta ba ringa ba gola. And I'm privy ka information ya theta because I was part of the station. I took sabbatical leave, but I'm abreast of anything that happens with theta. Empa basebetsi ba theta ba hlomphuwe batho ba ska dula magotleng ka bona to say they are not getting paid. I know for a fact that basebetsi ba theta they get their money monthly. And if you are here, so that but was cannot sugarcoat the issues. But I know for a fact that basebetsi ba theta ba gola. You know, how about thoughts even take a cold drink? Not about thoughts, you understand. But the issues are a very sensitive issue, and rumor it damaging the image of the entity. You can't sit somewhere and say, but woman never hold.
Yeah, have a dream who you know you have again. Yeah, we make a freedom chat. Thank you. Thank you, one.
All right. Una le mea phone sa pele. A re le mokgatlo wa Democratic Alliance re tsetsang a community. Re tlo ba fa community e long hore e tlo bana le di equal opportunities for everyone. Maybe the full freedoms. We are not living in a fair society. Re tlo diversify the opportunities ensure that ba rona ba ba right. And then me are re ba tletsa setšhaba re tlotse ke Mid-Valley Mid-Valley is the best performing municipality in Gauteng. Across South Africa, Mid-Valley is number 4. Even the provincial government, ANC, is honoring Mid-Valley. Baba Fadi awards left, right, and center because of the governance. Mid-Valley, because of the delivery of services. So Mid-Valley never win the awards. In a delivery for the residents. And then Jamme or Freedom Charter debate when only really provoked. But I think in Jamme, my mates got a biased. Ska declare Ratolai for ANC. I think Ratolai ANC, Liamo blind, Agapalemo quality tsebe. To the fact that Loring Refanagazona Monan. And then our message you are making or the members. Message you are is not only meant for DA members, it's meant for the entire residents in Fuleni, it's a city being, it's a Gauteng and South Africa kaofela. Remember la vote, I saw vote like the members are not fair. Vote like the ordinary members of the community. Say Lauren, they don't hold the membership card to DA kapata any political party. And then if but a difference, Lauren. The residents are Mid-Valley by Bona, about voted the Democratic Alliance. And all this for most of the time, but back comment anga Mid-Valley, but we're doing in Fulani. Kapakidi members are ANC, Kapakits about this of Shoko, Mid-Valley. Mid-Valleyans are doing totally, and Fulani and totally ideas. But Abagarba shape, Mid-Valley gives a told you I would say the Tolang, high low rise ability community, high low rise delivery services for community, high low rise delivery clean governance. For the residents of Zabon.
Ishebena ko metsotso ke metsotso ka ba 25 fa letso ra
King Eritrea. Our 10-point plan is very clear. One, we are going to expropriate land without compensation. That is the commitment that we are making, and it is a promise that we are going to keep. Number two, when I learned that experience in terms of governance. Of course, you cannot be experienced in government or see government. You must be there. And I think ARETA is an organization that is filled with intellectuals and academics. So the issue, Baskaba provoked, but to say ARETA is going to make a significant differences. And by feeling now, that is why they will scandalize us, but we are not apologetic. We are very firm and we know what we are going to do. Then what if we take the country, win this election that we are hoping that we are going to win? How na politic or government? The money comes from the treasury, the money your country is collected by SARS. So how na mkhatlo ka claimang and say let it 350 tse le patalo ke rona. Ke tšhelete ya mmuso. So ARETA, what we are going to do, the intention is to ensure re gana a very clean governance. this issue of corruption is hamper development of the country. The issue of corruption, and you know, it hamper a lot of things that were supposed to happen in this government. But because we have corrupt leaders that are preoccupied with the mind of stealing and concentrate on their cronies and those who are political connected, they are focusing on that. But there's much bigger scales of service delivery that ARETA is committed to do when it takes over this government after next election. And hopefully we are going to take even these deteriorating municipalities, Mfuleni, Sidibeng, and Midval and Lesedi. Come 2026, we are going to take those municipalities and transform them into functional municipalities. The last question, by Rizal. Look, we are not apologetic. We knew that this somebody attack, they will come. Fortunately, the issue here, sabbatical leave, that says their secretary, the regional secretary of the ANC, he's still getting paid, yet claiming to be on sabbatical leave. Now, I'm not going to go there. A listener who raises that particular issue. But the most important thing, public or our members, and Obosake member ANC who has just reaffirmed to say, I love the ANC with all my heart, I'm part of the ANC. Now we ask you about ARETA members. Look, we are talking to prospective voters come next year, prospective members of ARETA, people who are saying, we want to redress the imbalances of the past. We're still living in the world that it was not ideal for us when we started voting in 1994. Ntse re phela bofumeng, re phela valley e was nang any service delivery ko yona. Re phela valley ya di pothole, re phela valley ya load shedding. You know, sebile re tsamaya pokotetse di schedule on our phones because it has become normal. Ntho ya load shedding. Ntho di pothole le maponesa a vale ha o latella ka se go psabe ja o tsama straight ba o emisa ba go tau because of the nature ya di potholes ka mo. You understand? So we are going to make a significant difference as ARETA, and that is a commitment, a political commitment that we are going to do. Ke lebo.
Tshebeletso tse metse ke yona Theta FM bitula ka ke itumeleng gore wa ke la lena Zu ha Mokwena, Dr. Dlamini ho tswa ARETA, King Sol ho tswa ho mokgatlo wa DA, Ntate Kunene ho tswa ho mokgatlo ona wa ANC. Ntate Sol,
Ntate Itumeleng, I think question e tlileng ho rona e hla ho Modi from Everton. Re bana le a serious challenge in electricity. Ana mekgatlo e tlo ba etsetsa eng? Ke batla ho Modi ha ka hopola re le mokgatlo wa Democratic Alliance last year re la ra starta petition ya hore di transformer tse senyehileng le tsena le mathata turnaround time ya ho di lokisa e be 14 days. Ra ho kgona hale hore batho ba Everton ba ka dula di kgwedi kapa dilemo ba sena di transformer tse ile reng ba thola motlakase from ho tsona. Now ra tsamaretsa di public meeting ra etsa petition ra nka petition ya rona ka isa raisa go National Council of Provinces. Hona je feedback e re fang ba ikore NCOP which is ANC led e frustrate a process a petition ya rona because se re skopa mo ho petition eo go hore Eskom le NCOP ba tle ka mona ba tloetsa di public hearing ba ikutlwele first hand hore mathata e ile reng batho ba Everton le di surrounding areas ba kopana le tsona. Another thing e rena le bothata ka yena ke ntwe ya hore batho ba Everton ba patadiswa di tšhelete for electricity infrastructure ya Eskom go di tshwantse ba ntshe di tšhelete ba thole di transform, but some ba ntshe di tšhelete ba thole di transformer, ba bang ba ntshe di tšhelete ba thola di transform, and e di tšhelete tse re tshwantse di tswe di batho ba thole di transform. Ho tlisa botlhoko hore e advocate ke di councillors tsa ANC tse tsa manditse tsa community or no hore le thole di transformer tshwantse le ntshe tšhelete ha o tshwantse ba lwane le setšhaba ba re no Eskom o ka se re batho ba ithekele di transformer tsa utlisa metlakase ka matlong a bona. And then earlier Ntate Kunene o la re bothata bo ntwe le dang gore bena le bothata ba motlakase gore National Party e ne etsetsa magwa fela for electricity. And by the way, a re hopola hore National Party ile ya kwenywa ke ANC, e se le di-members tsa ANC today. Now remember that Mbeki was warned in 2008 hore there is an impending electricity crisis e lo reng yaka. Now ba hloleha ho pay attention with a show hore re resolve issue e ya load shedding before it re sharp. And then how ka re wa share, then they commissioned the building ya Medupi le Kusile power station. Initially the budget was 20 billion. To this date budget ya bona is over 300 billion, but in terms of they're still not fully functional. Available capacity ya grid ya South Africa is at 47% currently. So it means we are in a crisis. So araba fela mme wa Everton ko rona re ka kena ka tabeng ya ya motlakase le before re kena sentse re eme ka maoto re lwanela taba ya motlakase for ba ai ba Everton. E seng ba Everton fela ba zone 7 ba zone 3 ba Mkhelele ba Palm Springs ba Everton North ba Bophilong ba Shaville ra tsaba gore fela issue ya electricity mathata electricity affect fela ba ai ba Everton ba da cross influence ka ofela. Ke a leboha.
Thank you Ntate Son. Ntate Kunene.
Ke a leboha re itumeleng. Dipotso di ngatanyana so ke nana re nako e setseng e setse hore na ke di arabe ka ofela. Ntate o bile ka fiscal selling compromised. Government over next financial year has budgeted over 2.2 trillion rands through taxes and other forms of income. So when Harry Bwagadi Tole provincial government is also equally budgeted money, which charity will be raised through taxes. So charity eating give earlier, carry just from royalties, the mining companies. The past 2 years, the prices of the commodities, minerals, have increased, which was a benefit to the South African government because those sales of those minerals also resulted in increase in terms of what the South African government, as the people, money both in terms of tax, corporate tax, and also in terms of royalties. So we have done relatively well. So with all the challenges, there's still money to ensure that government can deliver on its services. Case here, Everton, this is a specific case. If an title did, obviously, I don't understand how will the municipality share that a specific case that I don't have a case a house government I don't know what's happening. But one thing that provincial government has also made a commitment renewal Everton, revive Everton renewal. That decision was taken in 2020. It's going to be implemented on Ajwale. That MIL has taken a decision that Everton renewal, not only Everton renewal only, even other renewals, but because Remote Valley, our interest is Everton renewal. For us, Everton, it will be 120 years next year. So as ANC in this region, we are lobbying very hard, we're working very hard to ensure that Everton renewal is implemented and Mapilawatu in Everton get to change drastically in the next coming few years. ANC is not a capitalist organization. We are an organization that is a broad church, but we are a disciplined force of the left. So our orientation is more to be on the left of the political spectrum, not on the right like the DA, which is supporting capitalism, but we are an organization that is pragmatic in a manner that also brings benefits to Sechaba. That one operates Panyaza Lisufi, Karwa Sebes, Amar ANC Afila. Nade Panyaza Lisufi ki chairperson na ANC. Ubi or Nade Panyaza Lisufi la Buakar Motlaha School and as that's not only what he has done, Go Tsepong, but also even now as the chairperson of the ANC, as the premier of the ANC, in the few months that he's been in charge of provincial government. That's the ANC in Gauteng, to ensure that what he says gets to happen. The post to say government, maybe about the post to say leader advertiser, those posts were advertised publicly, people applied, and finally people were appointed. And those people also they're not ANC. Department of Water and Sanitation, annual program which has AIDS in this region. We have been complaining, we have been putting pressure on all government that program has happened quickly so that the pipes arrive at Tony, they were upgraded, because these are all things that we said. Dadele sufi anka chelete o di NGO ke diposo ntate ka raba diposo ntate Zulu ke bona so batla o thiba jwale. Dadele sufi anka chelete o NGO. In fact, that thing was used by the DA to score cheap political points, but Dadele Sufi obviously in consultation le people at NGO stopped that thing for further consultation, because there was clearly lots of misunderstanding. But it's not true that Dadele Sufi has stopped. The 350 intervention because as Kichilo earlier, it was a short-term intervention, because relatively none of us are saying who need jobs, but what do you do in the meantime? Do you say don't give them anything? So ANC said let's give them something, but also let's work on a long-term plan to address issue, just like the grants for what disabled, the grants for old age. You give grants to cover where there are the gaps more what short then and the member ARETA, which Nate Dlamini, who member fella, which children like member ARETA, who is a member ANC Tsotsi. I mean, I think we can be decent. We can differ and campaign, but we don't have to reduce ourselves to insulting each other, and such things. Nate Jason is an employee of government. There's no law that says if you're a secretary of the ANC, you can't be a government employee. And he's not yet on sabbatical leave. I guess it's a kind of sabbatical leave. He may be on sabbatical leave going forward, but he's not on sabbatical leave as we speak now. So he's an employee of government. He's working for his family like any other person right here who are employed. So let's not do such things personally. I know that this issue has been going on and on personal attacks on Comrade Jason. It's wrong. It must stop. Comrade Jim.
Thank you. Mamedi na kwa ishaba ke metsotso robedi pele ho re a lesome wa lega re tlo ilahla ne ke batla fela re nke mohala o le mong fela be re a kwala wena itumeleng e re potso o tla e botswa he o bo sontse o e repa dibitsong la mogahlo wa hao re etse tsena fela 063 ke ngwana mme hot re teng le kae
All right. All right, ke ntate mang? Se shebile nako. Ntate mang? Ntate Lucky. All right, tira le bon ntate Lucky. Thank you ntate Lucky. Thank you bontate se shebile nako ka kwano. Re tlo go Dr. Dlamini. Ai kwale o tswa tla ko la ARETA. Ntate Sol, ntate Kunene.
Aklebo itumeleng, I think that was the first invite, and you'll consistently do so. I hope so.
Yeah.
As ARETA, we want to see radical economic transformation change in this country. And we are committed to the principles of expropriation of land without compensation. We're also mindful and conscious about the security of this country and the crime that is actually happening in the country. We are very worried. We want to rescue the country from the white monopoly capital. The two leaders have periodically and systematically denied to say their party embraces that capitalist policy. In the ANC, they politicize it. They call it a broad church, mixed economic system. But when you look at that mixed economic system, the nature, when you contextualize it, look at the connotation that exists. It is a capitalist system. Now, they will defy because of electioneering processes and period. But when you zoom into what is actually happening in the country, you'll see the ANC is talking left, is going right. He said they are part of the progressive forces. But when you look at the magnitude and the nature of these progressive forces, the ANC is not represented there. The ideals of the progressive left, ANC does not have an expression there. Haki kwala ndate itu. South Africans, they've been victimized for the past 29 years. We've lived under advent poverty. We've lived on these miseries that are now habit. We are familiar with them. Like, for instance, I've made a typical issue about the issue load shedding. We now have schedules in our phones, which is abnormal. We have ANC leaders who will eventually benefit, or who are currently benefiting from the collapse of the SOEs. It's not by default that SOEs in these countries are collapsing. It has been planned that they would open space for investors, which are capitalists, multinationals. Now, as South Africans, our call as ARETA tonight is that you have power. When people are talking about power, you are in a position of power. Use that power correctly during the election next year. Make sure that this organization that has dismally failed, that are very good in terms of lip services, that are very good in terms of raising figures, make sure that you vote right. You vote to a party that understands the frustration of not having electricity. For a party that understands the frustration of not having employment. We have fathers who've lost pride on their families because of being in a contrast conditions of unemployment. Now, as ARETA, we are committed to restore the dignity of a human being across the racial line. Somebody spoke about Carl, necessarily enemies, but we must put issues on context and on perspective so that ultimately public must know the truth. When you look at the handlers of the same organization, they're based in America and Britain. Now, as ARETA, we must change the political narratives. And in our view, we strongly believe that for us to, to get our the national sovereignty back is to restore the human dignity. And the only way that will give people dignity is for them to have a position of land, for them to have decent houses, for them to have securities, for them to have employment. So that is my submission, my leader, and thanks very much for inviting us.
Thank you. Jwale ga onda te sol he batho ba re wa ba kopa go hweketswe nako fitla ka bo 11 yo
In closing, ke tlo ba short and brief, but to address like you was the last caller. Our country does not need political parties anymore. Had there something a bit but for South Africa by need. So I will bua fela, and he must not who paint the political parties ka brush one. Remember each and every political party in the dintho tsa yona. Now in closing, re batla hore registration weekend ke ya tla ka October, re khothaletsa ba mamedi ba Theta FM ba ai ba Gauteng e tswang in your numbers le lo register ba sa registerang voter ba sa voting ke nako ya hore le thuthore di ID tsa lona le tsamaye voter re le mogahlo wa DS re le tshepisang sona gore re tlo disa change le stability in South Africa, Gauteng and Mfuleni by changing the face of the country, the face of the province and the face of the municipality. Mona Mfuleni re tlo change the face of Mfuleni municipality. We will close potholes, we will deliver services, we will invest in sewer infrastructure to ensure dealer ka di sewer leaks. I mean, it does not make sense or batho ba rona ba tlola di sewer every day. We will also institute forensic investigations going back 15 years to check each and every transaction. Remember, in the past 8 years, Mfuleni has conducted, I think, about 6 forensic investigations, but not a single forensic investigation was made public. We will also made those findings at forensic investigations to public. We will build Mfuleni to be an institution that will deliver services to the residents of Mfuleni, attract investors to ensure that there is job creation. And then in closing, Rataule Theta FM for this platform to come and share lady listeners at Theta FM what is the DA's offer, position the DA on various issues. And then lastly, mamedi ba Theta FM le ba ahi ba Mfuleni Sedibeng Midval Lesedi modimo wa khotsa ba itse hantle ba be safe le malapa bona go kaofela ba re ba boning ba ne ba fola di line ba submita di CV go Mfuleni municipality mesebetsi e hlaileng re tla le beya di thapelong tsa rona modimo a letse ka mahau le thole mesebetsi le khona o provide for the needs tsa lona le di needs tsa malapa lona ke le bonda ditwe.
Thank you that son that ku dine kwena we kola
ya ndate pile ke arabe the last caller like you ore ke be le ponisa ke be prosecutor ke be magistrate, which I don't have that capacity or nka kwalla batho umfa matlex na ngona ha ona le di issues tse ya di tsebang where people are corrupt, people have done wrong things. O dumeletse ile hore ka ya sponsoring a be ditaba tseo maponsa tla sa mosebetsi wa ona di prosecutor magistrate kapa judge e thole motho guilty kapa not guilty. That's not the task of regional chairperson. Ntwenka e buang gore o bile o bua ka hore no re bua maka kere the provincial government has committed that by December all the 40 roads will be finished. So we'll also put pressure on them to make sure those roads are completed. The ANC has demonstrated over the last 29 years that we are serious about changing the lives of the people, and I was deliberate about going through statistics because you see it's easy just to talk and not be specific. I provided specifics today. I provided numbers on number of houses built, on number of students given NSFAS. I've provided specifics on number of people who are tolang assistance in terms of agriculture, land reform, housing. All these are numbers. Keep proof your ANC has done something over the years. So people want us to come and rebuffel, and then this narrative, tabena or no rights and needs over the 29 years, when we have provided numbers, and we'll continue doing so. Provider the numbers. That now we must not talk statistics. What else can we prove? Because how can it's also prove, and we're going to do that. In terms of corruption, it is wrong to say then suddenly, because Erika's example, how do you say wrong that they itumeleng ko Sebokeng? Ha re motho ko Sebokeng, ha motho ko Sebokeng o dutseng kgo. O ka se re batho ba Sebokeng ba utswa dikgo. Ke motho a le mong a utswang kgo. So it is wrong that if there's a member of the ANC has done something wrong and the courts have found him that he has done something wrong, or it has been proven that that person has done something wrong, it is wrong then to say the ANC is corrupt. That person is corrupt. Let's apply the same rule. If we can't, what about kereke yani, only mutakenang kereke moli anything to wrong. Ukasir kereke kaofela kereke it's manyofonyofo. It is a wrong thing. There are members of the ANC who have done wrong things. They've been expelled, they've been suspended. Some of them are in jail as we speak now. Because ANC is a big organization. So it is expected that such a big organization, you'll have people who do wrong things, because we are a big organization. So you can't then say because, we're an organization having more than 1 million members, and we represent society in South Africa. So it's normal, it's possible that out of 1 million people, there'll be those who are down. But ANC in its policies rejects corruption, rejects theft, rejects all forms of stealing from the people. And we don't tolerate what we're doing from Sichab. So we're saying, it's in November, people can register online. They must register online. ANC, we are going around asking people to register online. We will continue to make sure that people of South Africa get a better life, because that's what we have been for the last 29 years, and we hope that they will also give us the right to continue serving them to the best of our abilities.
Thank you, Ntate Thulani Kunene, ho tswa ka mokgatlong ona o moholo wa ANC. Ra leboha Ntate K.Mzansi ho tswa ho mokgatlo wa DA. Ra leboha hape ho Dr. Dlamini ho tswa ho mokgatlo wa ARETA. Bazuka.
Mona mmere ntse ho lekane ho fitlela mona mmamedi o ba utlwile re ba bitsitse wa mmamedi e sentse le ho qaleha ha rune re tla ne re ba bitse ka bongwe ka mongwe go utlwe gonane ho ntse ho etsala taba boholo ko gonane X ke right ya hao ka X o ka tšhintšha bophelo ba hao, mme ha e bang o tšhintšha bophelo ba hao o tšhintšha bophelo ba masepala wa hao, e bang o tšhintšha bophelo ba masepala wa hao o tšhintšha bophelo ba province ya hao, e bang bophelo bo tšhintšha ba province ya hao government ya hao le yona e ka tšhintšha. Mamedi ge ntse re lekane he ke ziwa Mokwena re nane fela be re kopana ka la bogago ke re ha e phaphathwe.
Thank you Bazuka. Ba kopa mohlomong ka di fortnight ba itapele bana ba tle hobane hona le ntho tse ba ithutang ho bona ke di listeners.
Ngwana mme ke leletse go nane nako ena e nyane haholo re tla ke re ba bitse lo ja le 4 hours ke bona e le nyane haholo.